I'm really excited today to be talking with all of you about client experience. Pretty exciting topic. And with me is my partner, Evan, who is our customer success engineer. So today we're talking about client experience. We're also going to talk about some processes where you can have some quick, high impact improvements, and specifically how ShareFile can help you improve some common client-facing workflows so that you can elevate your client experience overall.
Yeah, and I think going with that, it's typically going to be like a slow, inconsistent process as I've been working with a lot of customers and something that we've been working to adapt, whether you're an existing customer, which I know some people that join these webinars are existing customers of ShareFile, and thanks for being here, or if you're someone that's new to this technology, getting someone into the system, there's a lot of process that goes through that. Communication can be scattered. So there's a lot to take into consideration. So looking to a tool that you're already leveraging to provide some of these capabilities at full scale is great.
In case you aren't familiar with who ShareFile is, we help accounting firms streamline and automate those document workflows. What do I mean by workflow? It could be anything from requesting a signature all the way to completing or filing a tax return and everything in between. We want to make those workflows seamless, easy, and effortless so that they are not the primary focus of your day. The things that you enjoy become the primary focus of your day when everything else can just be automated. We have a 20-year history, and our history actually started with the accounting industry. We have been really closely aligned to the accounting industry for a really long time. Client experience is the unsung hero of ROI. I wanted to throw some statistics up there because it's such a big term and there are a lot of statistics that can be thrown at you, but here are two that I think are pretty impactful. The first is that 60% of companies that prioritize client experience are more profitable, and 5.7, you can earn up to 5.7 times more revenue. Something else that I think is really important about client experience is its longevity. In a Forrester 5-year report, so it was a report that studied and analyzed data from client-first firms over the course of 5 years. At the end, they found that over that 5-year period, firms that invested in client experience significantly outperformed their competitors. So to me, not only is it impactful, but it is also historically been relevant, and to me signals that it is a worthwhile venture because it will continue to be relevant in the future. When I say ROI, what does that even mean? It can mean so many different things. So I thought I'd just take a quick minute to just crystallize what the ROI is that we're talking about. When it comes to client experience, it can present itself in 3 key ways. The first is with client retention. If you're able to retain even 5% more clients, that can yield and boost profits anywhere from 25 to 95%. That's pretty significant. Another way that client experience shows up for you in terms of delivering dollars and cents is that it helps drive referrals. Referrals are a very powerful form of marketing. It delivers 3 to 5 times higher conversions, meaning it is easier to convert someone as a prospect into a client if they were referred to your firm by a friend or a family member that had an exceptional client experience with you. And the third way it shows up is in client spending. Existing clients that love you, are loyal to you, they are 60 to 70% more likely to buy add-on services. And I know that many firms are looking to expand advisory services. So if you have a great client experience, that can really support those efforts. So client experience can feel really big and overwhelming, but in today's presentation, we're going to really break it down into a component that is really easy to understand and really easy to affect. So I like to think of client experience as the galaxy, and every interaction that you have with a client is a star in that galaxy. The point is that client experience is the sum of multiple interactions, the sum of its parts. Every time you interact with a client, every time you request a signature, you answer a question, request information, that is an interaction, and that positive touch point contributes to creating a larger client experience. So today, the really big takeaway is if client experience feels really big, you can start by just affecting those individual interactions. Just simply focusing there, maximizing each moment can really help you on your journey to building more loyalty, trust, and lasting value. So, what is one of the client-facing workflows that we would consider low-hanging fruit? Well, onboarding. I know everyone has this process, and I know we've all been clients ourselves of various services in our lives, and nobody wants a painful onboarding experience. It just goes without saying. But more than that, I think that the onboarding experience is a great way for you to set the tone of what it's going to be like to work with your firm. Imagine if you can impress a brand new client with a seamless onboarding experience. They are going to be excited to jump into the next workflow, the next project with you, because they're going to feel confident moving forward because they had such a positive and seamless experience. Here's the thing though, 51% of firms admit to having a clunky onboarding process for clients. That means that their processes are probably disjointed. Clients have to use one tool to sign a document, another tool like email to email the document. It's disjointed. It's probably very manual. There are probably a lot of manual emails being sent out to remind new clients to finish the onboarding process. It can be really slow. It can be really confusing. So tools can automate this process. And what I love about using technology to automate this is while onboarding is an essential feature or essential workflow, I mean, you can't service clients until you onboard them. It isn't necessarily a high value one. So it's nice to know that technology and automation can help bridge that gap of, I can make this a digital first and seamless experience, and I can use technology to do it so that I don't have to. And Evan is going to show us how a tool like ShareFile helps make that happen. How is it that you can offboard all those admin tasks and create a simple and seamless onboarding experience?
So we'll walk through what it looks like to add a new client or when a new client joins your firm. There's a lot of bigger discussions and onboardings and trainings that we have around just general use of ShareFile. So just keep in mind, if you are curious, there is other ways to get more information. But in this case, we'll just go into my client contacts here within my account in ShareFile. So as you see, I have all of these tabs to access data or engagements that I'm working on. I'm going to go ahead and locate. I've been working with my customer, Avery. So before I might be going through like a string of emails or documents or phone calls to gather this information. So I've added Avery as a contact into this, system, have some information that's about Avery. Avery is then able to have, even behind the scenes, even authentication and a lot of other specific security controls. So security is always going to be a big thing that's tied behind the scenes in ShareFile. But either way, I have my contact here with that information, Avery. I want to automate this process. So we need to get an electronic signature that is on our company template. There's information on this customer that maybe I want to append onto the document. So they're a brand new client, as I noted. I'll just go ahead and hit send agreement here. Now we do have a pre-built template that my team created in my account. We have electronic signature that's incorporated into the application. So I could always create one if I have the ability to do that or the permission to do that, or just select a template that we already have for my company. It's already associating itself here with my client Avery, which is great. So I can see a landing location, a folder that will be dedicated. So ShareFile has things like data retention and access control type policies. And so you can determine the amount of time and who has access and how they can access. But another great feature is it is merging in now document information from that client. So we're now building a document based off that client's record. and saving it as a part of the onboard process. So instead of needing to go through and gather that information, this is built into the ShareFile tool. So as long as I go ahead and send this, we will receive an email. So I can switch over to my client here, Avery. This will be an email now, so I can see that an email has been received from ShareFile, and as long as you have a a browser or web access, it's very easy to just open up, eliminate the back and forth. I don't have any questions really. I can see that my information's here on the document, but our tool also does have some extended options if I want to decline or download or see where I'm at within the progress of signing this document, but simple enough to get a signature in there to submit it, save it for progress if I do want to come back for it. So all of this is built into the back end. Again, reducing any of the errors. What I've seen from firms is, the faster the onboarding, obviously, the faster they can get to making the money, doing the technical work and building that trust. So this, as you can imagine, can work for more than just an onboarding template to be able to send something quickly out for an engagement or a compliance form, recurring agreements. If you did attend our last webinar, we did talk about potentially even sending, documents to be requested, and we'll look at a couple other aspects of that today. But the first element from an onboarding perspective, as you see, it's very straightforward. Now, the customer being new to the ShareFile service would have to activate their account. So if this is someone who has never used ShareFile before, there are some security settings behind the scenes. It does have my information as we've added them in. Let me resize my browser here. Let's see what we're looking at. That's looking a little sus. So we do have social login. So if you're working with individual clients, individual contacts, we support Google, where we'll soon be adding Microsoft and Apple to that as iOS. So there are different aspects of a social sign-in, or we do also have a standard, hey, we have an email address associated with your account. Let's allow the admins to set some strict onboarding. So even as a client, I can feel the trust that, this is a password protected, potentially MFA, or something that might even be more simplified to me, that I am an individual contact. I'm used to using this email. I could also potentially just set that up and pass that over. So now I'm using my individual contact information, and it will completely just take me into the portal, which we will be looking at here in a second.
Yeah, what I have to emphasize that in that whole workflow that you went through is we talked about how manual onboarding is. If you aren't doing the manual work, sometimes firms will offload that to their clients, making their clients fill in the name, the address, the phone number. What Evan just showed, I love it. It imports all the data for you. You select a document, you hit send, and then everything's taken care of. So then I just wanted to mention that because, again, today we're thinking about clients and their experience and what it's like to be in their shoes, and it's a small detail that has big impact. Another workflow where you can, optimize is making sure clients have effortless access and easy ways to collaborate with you. Clients just want to feel in the loop, as we all do, and they want to be able to get specific information, sometimes without having to ask you or sending you an email for it. They just want to be able to self-serve and find it themselves. And so by facilitating that, this smooth collaboration, this feeling in the loop builds trust and makes clients feel really valued. There's tremendous gains to be made here in that one report found that 71% of accountants found that technology helped improve their average client response times. So it's like a help me help you situation where by making collaboration and access super simple, clients can get their tasks done much, much faster without burdening you or, bringing you out of focus with an email or a phone call asking a document question. They can self-serve and do that themselves. And so Evan is going to take us through and show us what that easy and effortless access and collaboration can look like.
Sure. Yeah, let's hop back over here. And just to keep in mind as well, there's always a lot to take into consideration. So we're going to be talking about the client portal. What does that look like? I think that there's, at least from me having conversations with customers, there's potentially a lot of different products or technologies that they're using to request for information. And when we say request for information, that could be documents, that could be a request for signature, that could be, some text-based data or, forms, maybe fields that you need them to fill out to get that information. But also just some kind of general place to create a folder structure or files that aren't, more of those ad hoc. So depending on the type of relationship and expectation that you have with your customers, the ShareFile product can expand to fit a lot of various formats and expectations and a lot of various great ways that clients can access it. So not just through a web application, but looking into the forms of, potentially a mobile experience that's specific to clients. But what we're looking at is, we have I'm here on the employee side still, so I'm not looking at the client side yet, but within ShareFile, we noticed for Avery, our client that we just onboarded, there was a folder that was created that, nicely houses this information of the signed document. But if we jump over to the client side, we did receive some emails after we had signed it. So we want to get some information now. We want to onboard this type of customer within ShareFile. We can create an engagement to request, now that we've onboarded this customer, maybe we want to request documents or specific types of data from them. So we can see that I've been added into this environment that when I log in, it's branded to specific to your company or whatever it is that you guys have from a branding perspective. I can see that there's a product or a project that's been assigned to me. So there's an onboarding task. So let's say behind the scenes, a user from your team was able to come, and if you were at that last session, if you recall that we have this project feature, which is more so a root level type capability that I've added my client Avery to. And in this case, we're requesting information, requesting documents and data from this client. So switching over to Avery's format, Avery is now able to just log in and get a quick, what is expected of me from my vendor who's providing me a service. Maybe I just need to get them some information over, which we'll look at in a second, upload some documents again, jump in and look at our last webinar if you want to see more about this provide by client PBC document import functionality. But as you can see, it's also providing a place to add comments, a place to understand the service provider who they're working with, and to gain all around awareness of the life of everything they're doing. So I can also see, here's that engagement letter that I signed, so I can come in as a client and review in a safe housing that document that I was onboarded to and look at, the legally binding signature to make sure that this is a legitimate e-sign type document. But just note that our tool does have viewing and those types of capabilities as well. But the client portal is also really good because we do empower our customers to also adjust settings if they want to add an image of themselves, or if they want to update and add alternate ways that they want to sign in or enable two-step verification, as we do have that as an option that you can enforce for your clients, or add alternate emails as well. And another great thing is for all of these activities and actions that there will be notifications that can be there to set to be alerting them within the application or to be received through email. So a lot of great value to have a landing place. Now, the trouble is, where's all of the data siloed? So ShareFile can fit a lot of different ways where we can provide data storage, we can plug in to data storage. There's a lot of different ways that you can work with our teams to understand that. But from a client perspective, think about the simplicity of just giving them their specific activities, things that they've done, things that are open. It's complete. This is really what a lot of our customers had been looking for, and this is a newer feature that we've rolled out within ShareFile.
We're coming down to the last workflow where we think that there are some real gains to be made in terms of efficiencies that can drive client experience. And that's making information, collecting that information, sharing that information between you and your client, making it stress-free, making it easy. As I've mentioned, clients just want to feel in the loop. They want real clear instructions. What do you need from me? But on top of that, they also want a really straightforward way of getting you that information. Having a structured process where both the directions are clear and how to take action, when that's really clear, it really helps keep the project moving forward so that you can begin that service. You're not stuck in kind of this, email back and forth purgatory. You can, move forward, which would feel really good to just be able to jump right in. Especially, I know that would feel really good because I know that this is a pain point for many of you. Getting documents and information from clients was the biggest workflow issue firms faced in 2023. If you joined us last week, I brought this stat up again. This is another workflow that is another necessary evil. You have to collect information to begin servicing your client. But getting that information, manual follow-ups, unclear instructions, difficulty, finding where the information lives, if it lives in this email thread or this email thread, man, it just slows it down for everyone. And if you're not having fun, it's a pretty strong bet that your clients aren't having fun either. If this process feels tedious to you, it definitely feels tedious to them. And the good news is that technology can really help alleviate a lot of those pain points without adding extra work to your plate. And Evan is going to show us how you can collect information seamlessly in one place to kind of put those guardrails up and make sure that this process is smooth, straightforward, and completes as soon as possible.
Yeah, sure. So we were looking at that a little bit from the client perspective when I logged into the client portal. So, we're at the middle stage of that engagement. The client has information that we need to get. So again, just real quick, what we had done is, a feature within ShareFile called projects. I have a project here called Avery Johnson onboarding that's linked and associated to my client Avery. Now I could just as well create one from scratch, or you do have the ability to templatize these types of engagements. So if you have documents or PVC or specific forms of data that we'll be looking at here in a second with information, that you can templatize these as solutions that you can offer to your team, or have departments that can have specific processes that they can customize. So overall, within these projects, as we mentioned, we are requesting documents from our client Avery, but we need to gather some information. We need to get a questionnaire. We need to get some information filled out. Or maybe I'm mid-engagement with Avery and we've collected all this type of information, and I just want to come in and get some data without pushing on them through email and have something that's a little more specific. Form building definitely alleviates a lot of that for customers. So being able to create it more as, I'm sending this to your portal, there's a task that's for you to complete. They understand it's, it just update, answer some questions. So from the perspective of your team, your CPA, your audit team, your accountant, whoever it is that's working out of the ShareFile side, it's easy for me to see what I've assigned to my client. So for my client Avery, we have a questionnaire that would be assigned as a task to them. And we also have one that I haven't really assigned out, but is waiting here. Maybe I need to get some bank routing information or gather some other data. So as you can see, all of these forms it's just comprised of some variation of these fields. You can create sections. You can have dynamic type logic, if a specific option's selected. And so a great way to engage your clients and to interact with them. And so another great point here. And so let's look into the client perspective. So as a client, I came in here, I have the onboarding tasks. I can obviously see the differences here based on the icons of what's expected of me. So again, last time we did talk about uploading documents. ShareFile's really great and well and known for that, obviously, so we can upload files very well. But clicking into access information, this is that same form that we were just looking at it. So now from a client perspective, it is something that I can come in here. It looks like none of these fields are required, so technically I could just submit this with no data. But these are just some sample questions that we had designated to be for this form. As long as it's something where it's no file involved, there is potentially a way that you can add and upload there. But the whole thing is to get that information from your client, removing the guesswork or reworking from your team to collect that information. All of that now, if we go back to this experience from your team, is that you get the answers here now in the portal for everything that you need to see. So getting that data moving, getting an understanding of what that is, It's very simplified where you don't have to do much of a burden. The client just has a portal they know they log into, and you have a place where you can go and push that out to them. So no more chasing emails, but definitely very simple and great efficiency there. So
we've thrown a lot of stats at you. We've shown you a couple of in-product demos. I just want to take it back and ground us in what's the impact of all of this technology for me, and just re-summarizing, restating that client experience is a strong driver of ROI. Every client touch point is a chance to build trust and loyalty. That should be really good news. If you are already on your way with making client experience a firm-wide strategy, optimizing just these 3 workflows that we talked about will definitely accelerate your progress. If you are new to building a strategy for client experience, well, this is great. It's a really easy entry point with some simple automations that you can set up and work. As Evan showed, just with a simple couple of clicks here and there, you can really offboard some of this admin work, but you can also take concrete steps towards delivering a really good, positive interaction with your clients. And as we talked about, each one of those interactions counts in the overall client experience. So the good news is you've got plenty of opportunity in the road ahead to take actionable steps forward of making client experience better. And really, I think what underpins all of that is technology. Evan showed you that inside of ShareFile, you've got different features that are being leveraged. You've got integrations, automations, the client portal. If you joined us for our previous webinar, you know that we have AI capabilities. Just all of these different pieces of technology coming together to really ultimately help you using all of the most relevant technology out there to help you achieve a concrete task, to finish these manual processes sooner and begin servicing the client sooner, just creating better client experiences. Because we've all, like I said, we've all been a client before, and there is nothing worse than a bad client experience. And here we've shown you, regardless of what tool you choose, if you're a ShareFile user or interested in ShareFile, we've shown you how easy and simple it can be to take some clear wins, check some items off your to-do list when it comes to accelerating your client experience strategy. Okay, so now we'll officially wrap it up. I've already said all of the things I wanted to say, except for one thing, and that is ShareFile is a member of the AICPA membership program. So if you sign up for an Industry Advantage plan, you're eligible for a 10% discount. Definitely, give the free trial a try. We hope that you found this webinar helpful. Thank you so much, everyone.